Yeah, so I was messing around trying to recording a song and the battery and all this other bullshit. So right now I am with a moment where I don't have the instrumental on here, and I thought I would just record a couple quick thoughts about the issues in Alaska with the governor and trying to move a meeting with the legislator to Wasilla, them partially going up there, some of them not going up there, and what I thought was basically a immature, childish, and unprofessional split within the legislative body, which has undermined any attempt to uh, for the legislator to actually do their job correctly for the people of the state of Alaska. And I'm not really someone who's into politics, so if I'm messing anything up as I do this video, um, I take ownership on it because I'm not pretending to be an expert. But I do think people should be able to voice their opinion regardless of whether they're an expert or not. And I think you see it a lot on Twitter. There's a lot of the media people, everyone's siding against the governor, and yet a lot of those cuts for that budget, I think, in terms of trying to make the state more fiscally responsible, just make a tremendous amount of sense when you begin looking under the magnifying glass. University of Alaska, you've got chancellor for $400 to $500,000 salary, with the benefits included in that. Multiple professors, lots of different administrators for the different university branches, and there's all kinds of them, 17 around the state, are getting paid 200,000 plus a year. And you look at national averages for public universities, it's more like 118,000. So we're talking about, you can say, well, cost of living in Alaska, I don't buy it. You're talking about $80,000 more than a national average. And someone linked to a UAA study or something like that said they were right on par, but they're not. You can use Google and you can see that they're not. So I just don't want to argue with idiots on the internet. You know what I mean? And some of the other service programs, I think they're getting cut. I think that those programs need to make efforts to become more independent financially and standing on their own instead of relying on all those handouts. Sort of like I suggested, years ago, I went to University of Alaska Southeast, but all of those universities, they've got tremendous strategic locations in terms of their property. They have the location. They could very easily, with a couple small, minor, but intelligent and strategically thought out adjustments, become, involved in the summer tourism market, which is sort of a unique thing in the state of Alaska, with all the people with the Princess and Holland America, the buses, and in Southeast on the cruise ships, and begin offering some tours that blend education, in terms of a lot of the things that are going on in Alaska, the fact that there is still ecosystems that are preserved, and there is a lot of climate research going on, a lot of grants and stuff. I've seen some guy from University of Alaska Fairbanks linked to some studies and he's been doing in the ocean and stuff. And I'm sure all this work is valuable and good, but maybe there's a way to more effectively share it with the broader public. A couple of my suggestions were, why aren't you leading like ocean safaris, for profit, and sharing some of the observations and some of the work with tourists that you're doing, some sort of a trip, or even on the Yukon River. Why aren't you doing that at a Fairbanks, or in Southeast, or in Anchorage? And then why are you also not having some sort of really nice with your environmental science majors and graduate students, like a big IMAX presentation, a filled auditorium, letting the tourists come in. You've got locations, you've got seating like that at some of these universities where they could actually be doing this and hosting it on a daily basis and giving their graduate students, maybe on a rotating schedule, or in terms of people who are going out in the field and doing environmental research on like caribou species up north in the tundra, or in the oceans, the whales, or just atmospheric stuff that's going on. The list goes on. I'm just trying to give a couple examples there. But I think, and on a daily basis, all summer long, like every couple hours, giving these presentations, fill that auditorium up, get money, and use that money to fund your programs. Don't rely on the state going into debt to finance your programs. Have an idea, be innovative, be proactive, and have a sustainable funding stream. But also give those grad students and those students involved in those programs an opportunity to not just earn a wage, but an opportunity to get invaluable public speaking skills, and to share the story and to actively engage, not just online, but engage person to person, big full auditorium, these tourists, and tell them the story. And then, they're going to take it away and they're going to learn, and they're going to, and they're going to have some behavior change go with that. Maybe they're going to use less plastic bottles, or, etc. Very, just a simple little excuse. But then the other two suggestions I had were like a Northwoods culture show, lumberjack type thing. The University of Alaska Fairbanks used to have that sort of a team. Like, why is there not something like that going on all summer up there with the tourists for profit again, and then funding some of the university's programs? And I just don't see it as a conflict of interest. I see it as like a no-brainer for them to be proactive and to take the steps to get these types of, for-profit programs going that would be giving students jobs. Number one, giving them a chance to learn skills. Number two, but also linking back to those core programs, and the sort of talking points that make the state of Alaska such a unique and remarkable and a worthy location for us to preserve and for us to go back to learn from, because it is one of the last places in the United States and the world where there are really wilderness areas. There are intact ecosystems, and there are, that's why we have the graduate programs up there, for the environment, for studying animals and stuff like that, and all the takeaways that come from that. But the other thing, the other third one was I was like, the arts program, they were saying, well, our arts program is cut in universities. I'm like, well, Jesus, fill your auditorium up, have your summer people, do like a contemporary arts program, have young people who are in your schools, doing the hip hop, doing the singing, doing, dance, like cheerleader type dance, like, very spectacle oriented, something people would enjoy watching, I think, and it would give those young people a great opportunity to perform. You get your auditorium in UAA or whatever, fill those seats up with the tourists in the summer, have some sort of a show, almost like a Disney type show, right? And give people a chance. Young people, they make a hip hop song, get up there and perform it. You got your song, 10 other guys' songs. You know what I mean? But get revenue from it. Fund your arts program with it. It's a win-win-win. Give these kids a wage. They get a chance to get the experience, and you're making funding for your program and for your big university, keeping you on point. But the other thing someone else linked to is like University of Alaska. I don't want to pick on them because that was only one part of the budget cut, but not just the salaries, which I think it makes sense to rein that stuff in, and but I think the there's so many of those different campuses. But then I was kind of looking at it and being like, shit, I think someone like the Eagle River campus, that was always a nice one. If you're driving through there, Fairbanks and Anchorage are the big ones. Someone would say, "Oh, cut some of the other ones," but I think the other ones actually do perform, are relevant in the scheme of things for local people that are from those areas and stuff like that. So, I think it's a challenge. You know what I mean? But I think if the money's not there and they're just writing these checks for money that's not there, there would be a point either way where you would have to rate it in. But I think when you specifically look at those professors' salaries and you specifically look at the lethargy of the departments and the lack of the innovation, the lack of trying to get into these for-profit stuff, and of course, I'm on the sidelines. He sees your quarterback from the sidelines of the back seat. I do appreciate that. But this is in the context of me a couple years ago going into the University of Alaska Southeast and trying to pitch like a lumberjack show thing for them to do on Bayok Bay in the lake and do some sort of collaboration. And they said, well, we had our own plans for that. They haven't done anything. It's been several years. And so you know what I mean? So this is someone who has actually, within the last 5 years, actively tried to engage the university and get them to sort of perk up and do some stuff that's fun and that's innovative and that's creating jobs and that's connected towards some of their core programs there, and creating a sustainable income flow for those core programs. So, and I just think I was sort of met with the old guy saying, "Well, we go to," you know what I mean? So I think that there is room for criticism, and I think there is room for these guys to be held to a higher standard and to have to, everyone in UAA with the big protest, and you know what I mean? I mean, I just think like the protest should be taught to protest better is what I said or something on my Twitter, and I was like, or someone said, and it was like they should be protesting those professors' salaries. I mean, to me, it's just crazy. Like the UAA hockey coach is like $200,000+ before benefits and shit. I mean, that's like a lot of money, and we're talking like dozens and dozens of them like paid like that. That's like New York University. That's like Harvard professor salary. That's not public universities like 118 down to 80,000 for like your, if you just look online. And cost of living might be a little bit higher, but it's not $80,000 a year higher. So I think there's definitely room. So I see where the governor came from with the vetoes. And some of the other programs too, like you look at like the homeless shelter. Honestly, like the homeless shelter, like I think a lot of those people becomes dependent, like on the services when you have like a church or something and you're giving stuff. It actually is a negative patterning thing in a community. So I think you need to look hard at that stuff. So if you know what I mean. So I think it's nice to have a gesture of giving people assistance, but it's almost like there should be assistance given to get them back towards their family groups and and connected back in that way, and not have them become relying on a homeless shelter or on people giving food at a certain location or something like that too much. You know what I mean? Though I think it is good. The Bible, it's good. Charity is good. I'm not knocking any of these things. Values are good. Blah blah blah. So, and what was the other one? They're saying, well, we're cutting the benefits for the seniors and the Medicare and stuff like that, and I just think I don't know. I think so much of this stuff is like the pills and the doctors. They're all just ripping people up. I'm not sure. In a lot of degrees. I'm not sure all that stuff is really good and helping. I think you have to look harder at you know the systems. You know what I mean? That's what I was saying. I was saying it's really, look at that. Look at the system of the universe. Look at the system of everything that's going on here. And I just think like the Icarus reporters and some of these people are so vocal about it, but against the people who went up to Wasilla. But to me, and I said it, multiple people said it who aren't online too, who I were chatting about this. It's like, why didn't they all just go to Wasilla? Like, why is and someone in Fairbanks who used to be a representative or something sued the ones in Juneau who didn't go to Wasilla when the governor requested them go up to Wasilla. And I'm not a big person into politics anywhere or Alaska, and it kind of turned my head up. But it's sort of like even if they disagree with that, I thought it was sort of a unique and interesting suggestion, especially because Juneau's so isolated. And go up to Wasilla, get a coffee somewhere new. Don't make this into a big battle and dig your heels in. And the fact that they made it into a big battle and dig your heels in, you've got a split in the legislature. They're not able to get anything going on. I think it was just. I think that's the group I would be blaming. Is the group that's in Juneau. You know what I mean? Because if they were up there on Wasilla, they would be able to be united and they would be able to be positioned to make a decision and hear from some other constituents, get a coffee somewhere else. Juneau is so isolated. I just think, but I think it's that's why I think it's interesting that everyone wants to blame the people, all the vocal people on the line who are all tied to the people who are being challenged to bring their spending in. So I think that those are all interesting points that should be made. And I think that everyone says, well, we're destroying the state of Alaska. I think the state of Alaska is just getting challenged to be more innovative, efficient, and you know, just it's actually probably strengthening the economy. It's like I was saying, like look at someone who fasts. You fast one day a week, even if you have dinner, but you don't eat the rest of the day. Your immune system becomes stronger. You have more mental clarity, and your body physiologically, human growth hormone, your body will become more resilient, and you'll get some good takeaways from that. Even though it might be, oh no, we're not going to have this for then, you know what I mean. So I think that can be mirrored as a metaphor and an analogy to what the economy of Alaska. You see a lot of the big wigs, the people who are actually getting this funding, they probably don't really need, we're sort of on this tit from all this, this money from the state that's not even there, or the ones who are extremely vocal with their letters and their stuff. But the working people of Alaska, you know what I mean, are sort of they, it's not I don't think it's a PFD versus this isn't the discussion too much. I think it's just the fact that the working people of Alaska, people with practical, common sense, and not the people who are into politics, not the people who are in the news, and not the people who are all connected to the funding streams that are coming out of this, and who are actually getting, personally feeling it. The larger populace of the people, I think that they can, and just like me, when I look at it close, if you just listen to the way the Anchorage Daily News, for instance, is framing it most of the time, you would side with the people who are just want to, basically try to personally attack the governor, which doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Because the governor just requested they go up to Wasilla. They should have just gone to Wasilla. You know what I mean? I mean, how often does it happen? Do they get to go to Wasilla? Go to Wasilla. Go on a field trip. You know what I mean? If your teacher's taking you on a field trip to learn about fishing, and you're in the classroom every day, you probably should seize the opportunity and go learn about fishing. If you're going to make a fuss over it, then and then we don't catch any fish. You know what I mean? Is a simple little story. Then, or well, that's the people's problem who made a fuss over it. But I just think it's I think it's something that's, either way it goes down, I don't think it matters. You know what I mean? And I think I think that's the larger people of Alaska see it that way. They don't see it, it's probably not going to affect them. They can see through the fakeness, and they can see all the people who are really vocal. They're tied to the funding streams. You know what I mean? So you need to be challenged to become more efficient. You need to be challenged to become more independent and to become, and have like, all my ideas I just voiced, but for the universities, they need to, and like even, cutting some of the funding for like the homeless in Anchorage is probably going to make the homeless situation in Anchorage become better, because those people are going to leave because they're not getting handouts all the fucking time. You know what I mean? So in the universities, why do their teachers lose accreditation in Anchorage? This already happened. Why did, before any of this vetoing stuff, why do they only have like such a low percentage of graduate rates, but their chancellor's getting paid $500,000 a year, $400,000 a year? You get a hockey program for over 200,000. You get dozens of professors. You have so many different branches of your university, different locations, and there's a big administration person, and each one of those who's getting paid, well over 200,000. So that stuff all adds up. It could be more streamlined and more efficient, is what someone else had said, and and I think I agree with those observations when you're looking at the University of Alaska system, and I just thought it was funny with the protest with Portugal demand there in Anchorage, and it was like they should have been protesting the salaries of the professors. If they took a cut, they could probably keep the programs afloat and stuff. But all this doomsday stuff, I just think not even taking a cut. I just as an entrepreneur, I just want to seize the opportunity. I did years ago too, and I wanted to work with these guys. They want to close the door. They don't want, you know what I mean? They're very University of Alaska is very much something that I think it would be extremely healthy for them to have to go through something like this. I think a lot of the other programs that are probably going to have to rise to the challenge and become more efficient, more independent, and more innovative about getting their money to keep their programs going. And and I think yes, some of the people probably should go. If you've got all those different universities and different salaries should come down, programs should be more efficient. So I don't think, and I'm not like some big Dunleavy fan or anything like that, and it's not like that's what it's about. I just see it as common sense, and that's what kills me though is online is the people who are very vocal, like in Anchorage Daily News. A lot of them are from outside. A lot of them have only been here a little bit, never really worked in the economy, and or they just been in the news industry forever. And these people want to silence other people, not just me, all these other people, from just like speaking out these practical, really common sense talk points, like showing the salaries, you know what I mean, and showing the fact about all the different university branches and stuff. Instead, they just want to make it, we're killing the youth, we're killing off the youth, the youth. It's just like, I mean, UAA already lost the ability to accredit the teachers. You know, there's just accountability issues. I think when they're getting all that funding and they're not able to deliver sustainable results, it shows that they've almost got too much money on the plate to where they're not even trying to be healthy in terms of their choices and to be looking down the line at how what they're putting in and what they're getting out and that kind of thing. They're just happy they've got that plate full of shit from the government instead of trying to be like a values-based group or a faith-based group and actually try to be very focused on the purpose of of the young people and the quality of their experience and blah blah blah. So I think having lots of money doesn't mean that those things are happening. Maybe less money will make those things happen more, not just for the university program, but for other programs too. It's like in the public broadcasting, like they might have got some money cut. That ties into the radios and the news, so all these people are crazy and mad about it. But uh, I think I just think like most people in Alaska think like I think I'm on the same boat. Like I don't think I think it doesn't matter, and I think that the legislature should have just gone to Wasilla. That's it. I don't think there's any reason to frame it any way other than that. To say, oh well, the people in Wasilla should have stayed in Chino. I don't think so. The governor requested they go up there. Just go up there. If they're still gonna make their own, you know what I mean? I mean, there's really no rationale for all of the vocal people on the internet and the newspapers to be saying that they should have stayed in Chino. You should have just gone to Wasilla.